Greetings, I bring Destiny Squad. How are you doing, my family? It's Friday then, Saturday, Sunday, what? It's Friday then, Saturday, Sunday, what? How are you doing, my family? Yes, you didn't know, just in case you didn't know, we are in a family ship. And I don't want anybody to tell me that there is no such word as family ship. Yes, we are in a family ship. And there are different levels to this family ship. Now, what am I talking about? Level one is what a lot of people have mastered. So, level one is where you actually are watching the videos and subscribing. So level one is what is we have mastered that so well to the extent where we are now ready for level two in this family ship. Remember the word family ship. That is our word, family ship. Now, what is level two? Level two is where we actually start sharing the videos. We actually start dropping a like on the videos as well. So we are at stage two. We are at level two that we are now about to approach. And everybody in the family, as a family, we work together. So what are we going to do for level two? We're going to start sharing the lives, sharing the videos to our WhatsApp contacts, to our Facebook pages, and also even before we start watching the video, we start dropping a like on the video. So if you at the time when you are watching the video, just drop a like on it because that is level two of the family ship. Level three of the family ship is where we actually start commenting, let other people know that, yes, I am a part of the Destiny family. I am here. What is your name? Good morning, good afternoon, good night. And that is level three, is where we start getting to know people by name. So, yes, we are in a family ship. Don't worry about the meaning of the word family ship. Don't worry about whether or not there is such a word. We are in a family ship, and that is what matters. Okay, I am going to start by saying something. Even before I talk what the topic is, I'm sure that you would have seen what the topic is all about, so you have an idea of what we are going to talk about. But I am going to start by saying darkness and light is in all of us. Yes, darkness, light is in all of us. What that means is that we are all capable of doing bad things. We're all capable of doing gruesome things. But what makes the difference is the force. Is it the darkness? Is it the light that is more dominant when the mask slips off and people are getting to see us for who we are? That is what determines who you are. That is what determines the type of person I am as well. So in today's live streaming, in today's video that you will be seeing as well when the live stream is finished, we are actually going to look at the topic that says signs you could be dealing with someone with narcissistic traits. And I have to say that when we're talking about narcissistic traits, we're not only talking about people in a relationships. Remember, your friend could be a narcissist, your brother could be a narcissist, display narcissistic traits. Anybody, narcissistic traits does not only come out in relationships. Okay, so that is the first disclaimer that I want to make, that it's not just about relationships. Okay, Now, how many times have you actually heard, when gruesome things happen, you actually hear some people saying after the thing has happened, I know that that person was no good for you. I told you a long time ago to leave that old boy. I told you a long time ago to leave that old girl. I told you not to keep company with that person, some person. What that is saying is that some people have noticed that something was off. Sometimes you don't know what is off about the person. All you know is that something is off. And that is what we're going to explore in this video. And I hope that you will learn something. So the first thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to give a definition for the word narcissism. Then I'm going to highlight a few phrases, a few terms that I will be using throughout the video itself. I'm going to give some of the signs, and then I'm going to look at whether or not a person with narcissistic traits can actually change and what they would need to do to change if they are willing to change. So that is how things will progress. And I actually hope that you will, we as a family, we will learn something, things will become clearer to us. So the first thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to give a definition for the word narcissism. And the word narcissism, the definition is a self-centered personality style characterized as having an excessive interest in one's physical appearance or image. So it's all about how other people see you, what image people are getting, and an excessive preoccupation with one's needs, often at the expense of others. So I'm going to read the definition for narcissism again before I actually, we go further into this live and before we explore the topic further. So narcissism is a self-centered personality style characterized as having an excessive interest in one's physical appearance or image and an excessive preoccupation with one's own needs, often at the expense of others. So there you have it. You have a foundation, what the word narcissism means. What I'm going to do now is that I'm going to highlight some of the words, some of the terms that you're going to hear throughout this video. So the terms that I want you to pay attention to are narcissist, narcissist supply, narcissistic injury, trauma bond, narcissistic discard, covert narcissist, grandiose narcissist. So those are the terms that I'll be using as I go through, as we go through this video. So who's a narcissist? The narcissist supply is the person who the narcissist is looking to for all the attention. That is the person who the narcissist is going to actually try to, express certain things to, so that the person can shower him or her with all the praises to make them feel good about themselves. So you have those two definitions so far. So when I use those words, you will know what I am talking about. Okay. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to give 10 signs that perhaps the person has narcissistic personality traits, and then I'm going to elaborate as I go along. So look out for that. So remember, with a narcissist, it's all about their image. not image to you, the person who is close to them, but is their image to people, to the society. At all cost, the narcissist wants to protect their image. They want to ensure that the image that others see of them is one that is pleasant. It is one that actually sees them in a good light. A lot of narcissistic traits is also engraved in ego. So those are the things that we are going to you will come across as I continue. So one sign that you could be dealing with someone with narcissistic traits is if you find the person is always throwing a strop. So if you find that someone is always throwing a strop when the attention is taken away from them. So when the attention is on them, they actually love it. They are really nice. You can get them, you will find them in the best mood. But once the attention is on somebody else, sometimes the supply, if the attention is on the supply, meaning remember we talk about narcissistic supply, that is the person who the narcissist actually looks to shower him or her with all their attention, all the praises in the world. So if the attention is on the supply, say for example, there's a birthday party, the narcissistic supply has a birthday party, they have achieved something, and all the attention is on them. Then you will find that the narcissist will throw a strop, they will do something to actually try to get you in a funky, in a nasty mood, just to spoil the mood, simply because the attention has just shifted from them because they like the attention on them. Number two, the person gets jealous when the attention is taken off them, even if it is their own child and their partner pays more attention to the child. So at all times, that person expects to be number one no matter what happens. Even if a child comes into play, they just want the attention to be on them at all times. Now, number three, the person cannot take any form of criticism. They would rather malice you rather than accept that they are wrong, or that or to accept any form of criticism that you actually make. So when the person gets a criticism, for example, if you criticize the person, that is when you have something comes about that is known as a narcissistic injury. So narcissistic injury is when you have hurt the narcissist feelings. Because with a narcissist, they do not expect you to actually oppose them. So once you start opposing them, then of course their ego is hurt so easily, to the extent where they actually will start, just malice you. It's almost like they're saying, look, do not do it, because if you actually oppose me, this is what will happen. I will malice you. I will gaslight you. And remember, guys, what I have said is that people with narcissistic traits, it does not only apply to like people in relationship settings. You can have a sister who display narcissistic traits. Anybody can display narcissistic traits, because if you remember what I have said is that darkness and light is in all of us. It all depends on which of the force comes to light, which is more dominant. That is what will affect us. So with narcissistic injuries, some of it is like short-lived, meaning like the malice is short-lived. But for someone with narcissistic traits, It is all about, the main thing is to be in control. They like to be able to manipulate certain things. They like to control the narrative. So when you actually, when the person is hurt, when you have caused a narcissistic injury, then of course the person's pride, the person's ego is bruised. Like I have said, sometimes they will just malice you, just disappear for a bit until they have cooled down, and then they will come back. Now, when they actually come back, it is all in an effort to sort of, to gain control of the narrative another time. If they cannot control the narrative, that is when you actually start seeing the nasty side, because there is a struggle. They're actually trying to control, be in control again, to control their supply. And the more resistant the supply becomes, that person, the more resistant that person becomes, then of course, the worse the type of, what would I say, the type of abuse that is hurled at that person becomes. And at this point, I should say that remember that abuse is not just physical. If you go back to one of my live streaming, then under the topic of domestic violence, then you would see that I have given like the different types of abuse. So just know that the type of abuse that is hurled at the supply in an effort to try to regain, to try to get them back in line, is not always physical, right? So if when you see people end up, some of them actually getting hurt, some of them unfortunately, lose their lives, it is when the narcissistic injury is really, really bad. You have injured them really bad. Then what happens is that they just flip. They flip as they try to actually control the situation, try to control the narrative. And as soon as they lose control, then, they get more erratic. And that is how, nasty things actually happen. So a lot of people who have experienced like a narcissistic outburst will tell you that, the person became abusive. So when you hear I'm talking about when the mask starts slipping, that is when, like the true person comes out. And when you see the abuse start coming out, then, some people start to look a second time, because that is when they realize that you're seeing actually the true person. So yes, that is another sign that you could be dealing with someone with narcissistic traits. So what you will find is that for some people, for some narcissistic supply, if they experience like an outburst, from the narcissist, becomes, compliant when they start walking around on start walking as if they're walking around eggshell on, around the narcissist. That actually gives the narcissist more power, right? To let it actually, sort of indicates to them what they can get away with, and what boundaries to push. And once they realize what boundaries to push with you, that is what they continue pushing. Now, further on, I'm going to touch on some points, how some people try to escape, why some people stay, etc. But before I do that, let me go down to number 4. Signs that you could be dealing with someone with narcissistic traits. Number 4, they never give compliments to the extent where they will throw a strop if someone else tries to give you compliment, right? So whenever the attention is not on them, that is when they throw a strop, to the extent where someone will compliment you, and instead of just saying, yes, it looks really good, what they will do is try to find something that is wrong. For example, with the nice dress that you are wearing, something to sort of bring you back down to ground level, to say that, look, the dress is not all that, right? So that is number 4. Number 5, the person tries to isolate you from family. They will try to isolate you from friends as well. Now, this is a tricky one, because sometimes when they try to isolate you from your family, isolate you from your friends, unknown to you, what they sometimes do is go behind your back, and they try to friend your family without you knowing. So you will actually think that, okay, I am not getting along with my family members. Sometimes it's because of what they have actually said. And they will give you the impression that, yes, I am on your side, but behind your back, they go and they will friend the person who, you think that you are not getting along with. When in truth and in fact, they are the one who is causing the division. And unfortunately, when the isolation comes in, for example, if it's in the case of a relationship, that gives the narcissist more strength, that gives the narcissist more power. Because if you are isolated from the friends, isolated from your family, the people who actually care about you, then whenever there's a narcissistic outburst, and for example, harm or abuse start coming your way, because you have already been isolated from the people who would be able to protect you, what you find is that some people actually stay quiet about it. And that is where trauma bonding comes in. So trauma bonding is where the supply, remember who is the supply? The narcissist supply is the person who you would call the victim, right? So trauma bonding is where when the supply just give in. So you will have people outside saying, why is this person taking all the abuse? Why doesn't this person just leave? The supply, usually the trauma bonding, the narcissist, the supply has been beaten down so much that they most times start losing their self-esteem. Sometimes they feel that, okay, nobody is going to care. At times they are so embarrassed to the extent where they just say, you know what, it's better for me to stay in the situation that I am in. So trauma bonding is just staying in the situation where you're in when everybody else around you can see that, it's not working, but you choose to almost be in denial and you want to stay in this situation. Now, trauma bonding is actually dangerous, because then you feel like you will think that you are doing everything to make the person happy. So a lot of the times what will happen is that person, that main supply, is actually, they actually neglect their own selves just to keep the other person happy. So it is a very dangerous thing, because at times the person who is trauma bond can fall into depression. They can look worthless, lose their self-esteem and everything. Like, person is manipulative. They want to be in control of where you go, who you talk to, and what you do. So that describes a controlling person. So a lot of people who with narcissistic traits, one of the traits is that you could see that they display forms of controlling behavior. And remember, like I've said, these are traits. It does not say because a person is controlling, they are a narcissist. Remember, we're talking about traits. They are different individual things. But if in one person you're seeing a lot of these traits that I'm speaking about, then you are tempted to believe that that person, is a narcissist. They get angry. So, number 7, they get angry easily, especially if they feel that you are not doing what they have said. So, you remember I spoke about the narcissistic injury. So, it's when their pride has been hurt. If their pride is hurt, that is when they actually get angry. And that is when you see the worst of them. So, I've already explained how that work and thing. So I want you to pay attention as well that the main thing for a narcissist is control, to control the narrative. So when you see sometimes when it ends, tragically, is when the narcissist has lost control of the situation. If they realize that they can no longer control the situation, if they think that the supply is actually slipping away, then that is when that anger comes in, to the extent where, actually sometimes they will actually cause harm to the person, unfortunately, to unfortunately, in some cases, tragically. So with the narcissist, the main thing is about their image. Their image, not their image to you, the supply, because already you know that they are horrible people behind the scene. But the image that they want to control is their image to other people. So what they fear is that you are actually the supply. When the supply is slipping away, when the supply has finally caught on and know what is happening. If the supply is trying to get away, why they try to keep that supply, why they try to regain control, is because they are fearful that their deepest secrets will be revealed, that other people will be aware of who they are. So sometimes when you actually see when you actually hear about, like a person first harming, deleting one party and then taking their own life, it is their image. So sometimes what they do because of the ego is that they think that they cannot face society again because the mask has slipped and now everybody is about to know exactly who they are. So rather than facing what is coming, rather than letting other people knowing exactly who they would rather do the gruesome acts that you see that they have done. And remember that I've said, narcissism, it's not just about relationships, right? It can happen to a family member, it can happen to a brother, to a sister, it can happen to friends. So those are the things that you need to bear in mind. Okay. Number 8. Sorry. So we are on to number 8. So let me find number 8. They actually go through cycles with their behavior. So sometimes you will find that, okay, you actually know when the person is starting an argument. You actually know that the person wants to go out, the person, is trying to do something, because they always go use the same cycle. It's the same pattern, right? So after a while, you become aware of the patterns, you know exactly what is up. Even if sometimes they think that you don't know what is up, right? Because of the cycles, you catch on and you actually know what is happening. For some people, once they learn about narcissism, right? Once they are aware because sometimes they know that something is off, but they actually, sometimes you say that you can't put your finger on what is happening. A lot of the times, once you know about narcissism, once you know about the traits, and you actually see that too many times, then you actually put two and two together and say, oh, this is what I am dealing with, right? So all the confusion will disappear, because suddenly, the penny drops and you know what you are dealing with, and you are in a better position to actually be in more regain control of certain situations in your life. So that was number 8. Number 9, they lie a lot even without thinking. So some people with narcissistic traits, even if there is nothing to lie about, even if nobody asks them the question, something, they just volunteer to lie. Especially if it is something that is going to let them look good, then they will lie about it just to protect their image. So that is number 9. Number 10, they are good at projecting and blaming everyone else for the struggle that they are having. So even if, for example, if the person, what would I say? If I'm going to use like a relationship for this one. So if the person cheats and you have found out that they have cheated, they will find a way to turn it around to blame you, to say why you are responsible, why you are the reason why they have cheated. So these are just some of the traits, that a person with that are narcissistic traits. So if you remember at the start, I said that I was going to use some terminologies. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go down the list and I'm going to see if I have actually used them. The ones that I have not used, then I'm going to actually, finish them off by actually telling you what they are. So for a lot of them, what I have done is that I have used them when I was explaining throughout the video. So a narcissist, we have used that one. Narcissistic supply, we have used that. Narcissistic injury, we have used that. So the narcissistic supply is like almost the victim. That is the person who the narcissist is always looking to for all their attention. So that's the person who they want to shower them with the praise and everything like that. For a person with narcissistic traits, the more supply they have, the better. So the more people they have showering them with praise, then the happier they are. Because there are certain things that they cannot generate for themselves. So they look to other people to actually, get that high, get that boost from them. So that is narcissistic supply. Narcissistic injury is when you have hurt the person's feeling, when you have actually said basically no, when you don't agree with what the person is saying, then you have bruised their ego. And that is when sometimes they will gaslight you, sometimes they will malice you, but they will come back. When they come back, they try to regain control. If the supply resists, then the angrier and the more erratic the narcissist behavior becomes. When they fully see that they are losing control of the situation, then that is when you see the worst of them. Trauma bonding, remember? Trauma bonding is when that supply feels hopeless, when they choose to stay in the situation because they actually feel as if, they cannot do any better. So the trauma bonding will stay. They will do everything to please the narcissist. Now, a supply who is, I would say, confident, the supply who is not willing to actually go with what the narcissist is saying, this who stands up for themselves, then they are the ones who will actually feel the wrath of the narcissist as well as that strong supply tries to get away. Now remember that with the not with someone with narcissistic traits, it's all about controlling the narrative. So that is why for some people you will hear that, look, you have to be careful of how you try to get out of the situation, because that is when things could turn nasty. So that is when you see some people try to leave without the person knowing. That is how dangerous the situation can get. So you may ask, does it mean that the trauma bonding, the person who stays and go through everything with the narcissist, does that mean that the narcissist will respect them? No. Because with the supply who is weak, the narcissist just see you as a weak person. They have no respect for you, right? So why do they actually stay? Why do they keep that supply around? It is through convenience, out of convenience. So perhaps that supply is a steady hand. That supply probably provides money. That supply is able to do all the washing, the cooking, and everything for the narcissist. Then the narcissist will keep that supply, but it doesn't mean that they will ever respect that person, because for them, they actually see it as weak, and they actually look down on people who are weak. Okay, so we have done with yes, that's trauma bonding. I'm seeing we have not used narcissistic discard. So the narcissistic discard is when the narcissist either see that they cannot control the situation, they cannot control the person anymore, or when they no longer need the weak supply around. So discard is when they just stop talking to that person. When I say stop talking to that person, is when they move on to another supply. Then you call that a narcissistic discard. Now, that type of narcissistic discard is going to be good for the supply, right? So the person who is the supply, who has been the supply, even if they can't see it, any discard from someone with narcissistic traits is going to be very good, because it means that you would have, escape having to go through all the trauma of actually trying to get out of the situation. So that is narcissistic discard. Now, some people will ask, so can someone who displays, who has narcissistic traits, can they ever change? Yes. Somebody with narcissistic traits can definitely change, but some of them remain the same. Why? Because in order for the person to improve, in order for the person to change, they have to want to change. So someone cannot just tell the person to change. If the person does not want to change, then it will never happen. Because in order for change to take place, then the person has to first accept that, look, perhaps I am not as perfect as I think that I am. Because remember, with someone with narcissistic traits, they think that something is wrong with the world. It's never them why things are happening. They see themselves as perfect being. So in order for them to change, it means that they have to accept that they have some faults, right? And if they never accept that they have faults, then what will happen is that they will just continue going through life like that, continue having problems with supply after supply, continue not forming real, bonding with anybody. And like I've said, they will blame the whole world, that the world is at fault. Unfortunately, in some cases, people with narcissistic traits, it is because of something that has happened in the past that has actually caused them to be that way. So they may have had their emotion bruised even during childhood. It can start from that early. It's something that has happened that has caused them to look at the world as a horrible place, to start looking at everybody as objects, things that can be replaced easily, to say that, look, I am perfect. Anybody who doesn't want to stay in my corner, something is wrong with them. It's not me. But for a person with narcissistic traits who actually want to change and accept change, they actually change and move on to have healthy relationships with spouses, with their brothers, with their sisters, with their friends. Have you ever looked, you haven't seen someone for a long time, and you look and you say, oh, that person has changed. That person has changed for the better, right? I am loving how that person is now. You will agree that that person would have more or less made the conscious decision to actually change something about them. Perhaps they would have seen that something, wasn't working out, and they have decided to change. It is the same thing with someone with, with narcissistic traits. They have to want to change in order for improvements to come. And unfortunately, when they make that change, so you could say that, okay, they made that change. So does that mean that they stay with the person who they have beaten down, right? The trauma bonding person who has chosen to stay in the situation where, to the point where they are seen as weak? No. A lot of the time they actually move on to someone who is more confident, right? Who is able to take them to another level. So it does not work when you actually are a yes, yes person. You have to be able to say no is no, wrong is wrong, right is right. So, like I have said, a lot of people, before they actually, they could notice that something was quite off with certain people. It's just that they could not put their finger on it, right? They did not know that there's actually a term for it. So if you notice in any situation, if you notice that some of these traits that I have touched on, that you are noticing a lot of them in one person, then it could be that you're dealing with someone with narcissistic traits. Now, how does it help you? A knowledge of narcissistic traits, how does that help you? By knowing exactly what you are dealing with, it stops the confusion in your brain, because sometimes, some people are wondering, oh, what did I say? I don't even know why the person is off with me. I didn't even say anything. But if you understand some of the narcissistic traits, then you will understand that, okay, that is what's happening. Nothing is wrong with me. It's with that person. So I hope that, from this video, you have learned something. You have learned about another topic, right? And before I go, there are two things I have not touched on. I have not touched on covert narcissist and grandiose narcissist. Now, there are two types of people, two types of narcissists. The covert one is the one who is quiet. Nobody would believe, the things that they do behind closed door. Because remember, with a narcissist, It is all about their image to society, not their image to you, who is being beaten down and trodden on. People who are close, who already know who the person is. It's not about protecting their image to you. So they are, people who you call like sneaking, they are like the sneaky type, right? Those are the type, that's what covert narcissist is. The grandiose narcissist is where they are, they are who they are. If they are nasty people, if their personality is nasty, they will do it on the streets, they will do it everywhere. They are not afraid to let people outside know that they are disrespectful, they are, all of that, right? That's the grandiose narcissist. And the grandiose narcissists tend to be the bragging type, of people, of narcissists as well. So they will try to outdo everybody. They will try to show off their wealth if they are wealthy. So that is the difference between the covert narcissist and the grandiose narcissist, right? The You decide which is better, whether you want to know the sneaking type of narcissist or you want to know the grandiose narcissist where everybody knows that you are not nice, right? So that's it for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. If you have not subscribed, don't forget to put a like. Remember that we are at the second stage of familyship. And just like I have said, I don't want anybody come and tell me that familyship is not a word. It is a word for me. Familyship, there are different levels to familyship. The first familyship is that we have passed that one already, where you actually have subscribed to the channel. You are viewing the videos. That is the first level. So we are now on the second level of our familyship. And that is where you start putting a like, actually, when you watch the video. And that also at the second level is where you start sharing the videos to your WhatsApp, in your WhatsApp groups, to your Facebook page, wherever. Just spread the word. So that is the second level that we are all at. Then we are going to move on to the next level, the third level of the familyship. And remember, a familyship, we sail together, we take care of each other. That's why we call it a familyship, right? The third stage is where you actually start putting a little comment, on the videos as well. Thank you so much. Have a lovely weekend. Remember, it's Friday then, Saturday, Sunday, what? It's Friday then, Saturday, Sunday, what? Take care of yourselves, family. Take care of yourselves, Destiny Squad. We're out.